Is your business struggling to stand out from the crowd online? At Webamax, we specialize in turning clicks into customers. From SEO and PPC to social media management and stunning web design, we've got you covered. Boost your online presence and drive real results. Ready to take your business to the next level? Visit Webamax.com. That's Webimax.com for a free digital analysis. Roll the web with Webamax.com.
Hi there, Duke fans. Welcome to DBR Bites, episode number 53. Duke Basketball Roundup here for your listening enjoyment. There have been a couple things that have dropped in the past day that we're going to get to very, very quickly. Before we do that, we have to introduce ourselves because 700 plus episodes, you're still figuring out whose voices you're hearing. I'm Jason Evans. I know that probably comes as a mystery to most of you. Joining me, introducing Donald Wine. How are you doing, sir?
I am good. It's great to be on the show for the first 1000th time. It's been great.
Exactly. So I will start with this. I believe that a lot of people thought that the next episode that would appear in their feed from us would be the continuation of our conversation with Brendan Marks. We're going to be releasing that probably tomorrow, or depending on when you listen to this, maybe today.
Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, something like that. We'll be getting out the episode where we continue to talk to Brendan Marks about the transfer portal, about the ACC specifically, a little bit more stuff about Duke. I want to just go ahead and tell people right away, if for some reason over the weekend, maybe Father's Day, maybe you missed it in your feed, if you have not listened to DBR Podcast episode number 631, in which we interview Brendan Marks of The Athletic about Duke's summer so far, do yourself a favor and go back and listen to it. I can't even tell you how many people have commented to me on how insightful and interesting and revealing that conversation was. And the best part is there is more of it to come in the next couple of days as we continue our conversation with Brendan.
Yeah, it was like I said, I keep using the word fascinating because it all of it was fascinating, from everything that he talked about in Duke, everything you're going to hear in a day or two about the ACC. There's just a lot of information that, again, when Jason and I kind of started this, like, all right, let's see if we get 20 minutes out of this thing. And then we said, wow, we have to break this up because there's just so much information that we have to digest. And it's a lot of information, but it's a lot of interesting tidbits that will help shape your view of not just Duke, but the ACC during this offseason.
And all of college basketball. I mean,
yeah,
it's
really
to say that it's unbelievable and has changed in the past couple of years is a massive understatement. All right, so we're now going to get to the topics we have today, and we will start with this. Last night, the NBA crowned a new champion. It is the Boston Celtics. They win it in 5 games, 4-1 over the Dallas Mavericks. There were Duke players who featured very, very heavily on both sides. We've talked about it extensively. I don't think it's news to anyone that Jayson Tatum is a leader, probably the best player on the Boston Celtics. Kyrie Irving and Derek Lively play huge, important roles for the Dallas Mavericks. This is a series that really featured a lot of Dukies. And Donald, I want to start our conversation. Let's keep it Dookie focused. I want to start our conversation with this. I went back and looked. Yes, Duke has had other guys win NBA titles, but I believe unquestionably this is the first time that a Duke player, Jayson Tatum, was the best player on his team. And I know that the Jaylen Brown won the MVP award. Congratulations to Jaylen Brown. And I know that there are a lot of people who say that, oh, Tatum is 1 and Brown is 1A, but the truth is one of these guys made first team All NBA. One of these guys led the team in points, in assists and rebounds in the playoffs and in the finals. That was Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum is the best player on that team. And this is the first time that a Duke player has been the best player on an NBA champion. Kyrie Irving was clearly number 2 to LeBron James in 2016. And really all the other Dukies that have been champs were role players. Shane Battier in Miami in 2012 and 13, was a starter, but was a role player. No question about it. Quinn Cook, Jack White, Dante Jones, all these guys played, in fact, very, very small roles. Danny Ferry in 2003, Jeff Mullins in 1975 with the Golden State Warriors Arguably, I would say Mullins maybe, is right behind Kyrie is like the third. He's up there with Kyrie or Shane, or sorry, him or Shane are sort of the third biggest role for a Dukie on a national, not a national, but a world title, an NBA title. But I just think it's really interesting that Duke can now claim the best player on the best team in the best league. Jayson Tatum, Boston Celtics, NBA champions.
Yeah, and he had, if you think about it, he had better stats than Jaylen Brown, and I know there was a lot of debate this morning over whether Jaylen Brown should have won the Finals MVP. I don't have a big problem with it. I think Jayson Tatum deserved it, but I also think Jaylen Brown played just as well. And the great thing is both of them were happy for each other. Let me focus first, Jason, on the fact. Congratulations to Jayson Tatum. Congratulations to Amile Jefferson. He is now one of the guys who has a national championship ring, and now at NBA, he will have an NBA title ring. Steve Pagliuca, who's the co-owner of the Boston Celtics, is also a Dukie. Also, the father of Joe Pagliuca, who played for Duke back in the 2000s. And congratulations to Jason.
And wait, and Nick, huh? Joe and his brother Nick.
Both Joe and Nick. Yes.
Right. And it's worth noting that Steve Pagliuca is the managing general partner. He's just not just a co-owner. He's like the guy in charge. If Brad Stevens has a boss, it is Steve Pagliuca.
And it's weird because he wasn't the guy that accepted the trophy on behalf of the franchise. It was one of the other owners. But you're right, he is the architect. But Jason, I was going to try and give you congratulations because on this show,
yes,
I
did
correctly predicted Boston Celtics in 5. So that was a nice shout on your part. But again, going back to Jayson Tatum, it's great to see, and you know me, I'm a Boston Celtics hater. So I did not pick the Celtics, but I really enjoy watching how he has developed and grown over the years into this world star, right, of a player. And for him to be able to help, whether you say help or lead, whatever, he helped. He was a big part of this process when they drafted him, and then they drafted Jaylen Brown the year after him. This was, or I believe it might have been reversed, but in 2 years they drafted Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, and those two guys had the most playoff games of any duo prior to winning a national or NBA title. So they have literally grown in. And Jason, if you think about it, over the last year, they've kind of talked about whether this was even going to work. They were talking about maybe trading Jayson Tatum or trading Jaylen Brown, or maybe not signing one of them to one of those supermax deals. They kind of gambled on this process. They gambled on this duo and this combination, but Jayson Tatum taking his game to another level is why they are sitting here as NBA champions today.
Well, because hold on, Jaylen Brown also took his game to. In fact, I would argue that Jaylen Brown has probably never played as well as he played in the NBA playoffs.
No, I'm not talking necessarily about the series. I'm talking about just over these last couple of years, because Jaylen Brown was always pretty good, right? But they weren't expecting him to be an all NBA type of player. He's like you said, he's right on that cusp. But Jayson Tatum becoming an all NBA player and becoming one of the top 5 players in the league, in the world, one of the top 10 players in the world. Like, this is what has gotten them to this next level. And again, the continuity that they've had in getting some of these, veterans around him, having a Kristaps Porzingis, who probably is his leg. I think his leg has to be operated on today because he literally put it on the line for this team. Having an Al Horford who's been traveling around the league, started down there, Jason, with you in the Atlanta Hawks for so long and has waited so long to get a title. Shout out, he's from Grand Ledge, Michigan. But those are the type of guys they put around. Yes, you had a young coach, you had a young GM in Brad Stevens, you had an organization that has really put their nuts into this basket, including Jayson Tatum. And Jayson Tatum helped deliver that. And I'm really, really happy for him. I'm happy for Amile, who now, again, can say he's an NBA champion as well. It's really, really awesome to see those two guys thriving in the way they are.
All right, let me give you a little bit of stuff from this game. First of all, you mentioned Al Horford. He had played in 186 playoff games in his career without winning a title. Only the mailman, only Karl Malone had played in more of them. In game 187, Al Horford finally gets his title. I wanted to mention a couple things from this game. At the end of the game, when it was all over, I don't think there was anyone on the Celtics who was crying harder, who was more emotional than Jayson Tatum. There is a beautiful, amazing photo of him lifting up Deuce, his son,
Mhm.
and holding him in the rafters as the confetti comes flying down. It is just one of the great sports photos that you'll ever see. But Tatum was really crying. And I think it's because there was so much pressure on him to deliver this title. You talked about, this question, does the Tatum and Jaylen Brown thing work together and the such? There's just a lot of people who've been very critical of Jayson Tatum because even though he's first team All NBA 3 years in a row, people keep on expecting more. They keep on expecting more. And he, for him to finally bring that title home and to do it the way he did in the first half of this game, when the Celtics put Dallas away, I mean, there was very little drama, honestly, in the second half. That was because Jayson Tatum scored 17 points and had 9 assists in the first half. Donald, that's an absurd line for one player to have in the first half of a game. 17 and 9 at halftime? Like, if that was the whole game, you go, that's a pretty good game. That's a great game from a power forward, 9 assists.
He saw the mountaintop and he sprinted towards it, right? That's
Exactly.
what it was with the game. And they had a video of him when he was coming into the arena before the game, and he kind of said, tonight's my night. And he kind of had it in his bag that, I'm going to come out here and be aggressive because I don't want this to go back to Dallas. I don't want people to keep talking about whether they can get it done and finally get over the mountaintop. He just went out and grabbed it.
Yeah, and he finishes the game with more than 30 points and more than 10 assists. He becomes the first Celtic in NBA Finals history to record a 30-10 game. I'm sorry, the Celtics have played in a lot of NBA Finals with a lot of great players who are in the Hall of Fame, and none of them, not Larry Bird, not Bob Cousy, not on and on and on and on, none of them have had a 30-10 game until Jayson Tatum did it. Tatum led the team, I mentioned this earlier, in points, assists, and rebounds, both in the playoffs and the finals. Donald, I'm about to give you the list. Here are all the players to lead their team in points, assists, and rebounds in the playoffs and the finals. Larry Bird did it in 1984. Hakeem Olajuwon in 1994. Tim Duncan in 2003. LeBron has done it 3 times. And Nikola Jokic did it last year. Jayson Tatum joins that list. For the NBA Finals, Tatum averaged 22 points per game, almost 8 rebounds per game, and better than 7 assists per game. Come on. Those are absurd numbers. And there are still critics out there who are like, yeah, he didn't deserve the MVP. Jaylen Brown deserved it because Brown's a better player. I'm like, come on. This is just, it's so silly how great Jayson Tatum was, how great this Celtics team was for people to still be criticizing him. It's bonkers.
And on a non-basketball related note, congratulations to Jayson Tatum because him and his partner Amile, who's a singer, announced that they are expecting a baby. So in 18 hours, that man is literally on cloud 9 and then jumped to another cloud 9 because he's got another thing to celebrate in that household. But just absolutely amazing. I think it was really funny that someone asked Deuce how he felt, and he said he's going to ask his dad if the trophy could stay in his room at the house. Someone's gonna have to break it to him. That's not necessarily his. They may get a replica for him. But Deuce, it is funny because how Deuce we've kind of seen him grow up in this lens underneath being a part of the locker room, being part of the family like that. It was real cool to see him front and center, on the stage, see some of the other kids that the players have kind of out there where you can it's been a big family thing. And I think, that has been a part of the growth of this team, right? We met Jayson Tatum. He was a 17-year-old kid from St. Louis. Now he's a world champion that is a father with a second on the way. And it just feels like he is an adult, a mature adult, but he's only he's not even 25 yet, right? Like he's 20, maybe just turned 25.
He's 26
or 26, but like he still has a whole decade of basketball left in him. And this duo has another decade probably left in them as well, which is kind of scary.
Toward that end, Jayson Tatum, and this is scary, Jayson Tatum is extension eligible this summer. You think the Celtics are gonna sign him to a deal? He is going to sign what will be the most expensive contract in NBA history. Because of the way the salary cap works and things like that, you pretty much know exactly what he's going to sign for. It will be a 5-year deal for $315 million. 5 years, $315 million, more than $60 million a year. This past season, where he was first team All NBA, where he led his team to the NBA championship, he made $34.5 million. That's a bargain. It's a huge bargain because he's going to be a $60 million a year man starting next season. And by the way, as you mentioned, at age 26, everyone says he's worth every damn penny.
He hasn't entered his prime yet.
$60+ million a year.
If most people, generally associate your prime in sports being between age 27 and 32, he, as you mentioned, is 26. He's not reached his prime yet. He's not reached what we feel would be the maximum of his ability. Yeah, you might want to sign up for that, Boston. If you don't, Detroit, get on the phone. But yeah, I think it's great, and literally he's on top of the world. Like that, this is the pinnacle, and it's great. He made the Olympic team, right? So like
he did, yes.
Yeah, so like he can be Drew Holiday. He can basically be a guy that can earn a gold medal and a NBA title in the same summer. This could be a really, really good big summer for him.
Yeah. All right. So 2 other really, really quick things I just want to mention. The first one is there was a great moment. My wife doesn't watch a lot of NBA. She was forced to watch a little bit with me last night. There was a great moment at halftime when Peyton Pritchard hit that halftime buzzer beater. Peyton Pritchard apparently had been inserted in the game for nothing other than to shoot half-court jump shots. That is his thing now. He hit that halftime buzzer beater. The Celtic who is most close to him when he hits that shot is Jayson Tatum. Tatum does as any good teammate would and runs up to Peyton Pritchard to give him a chest bump. Because, man, you just hit a half-court buzzer beater, okay? Here's the problem. Jayson Tatum is 6'9" and can jump through the roof. Peyton Pritchard is 6'1" and might have been the poster child for white men can't jump. White men can't dunk. Jump, dunk, whatever the heck it may be.
Jump. You're right.
Yep, jump. Okay. So Tatum goes up to chest bump poor Peyton Pritchard and almost leaps over him.
He almost broke his nose because he was
yeah.
He jumped to the 5th floor and Peyton Pritchard's still in the first, oh, we're supposed to go up that way? All the way up? I can't do that.
Yeah. Peyton Pritchard didn't have the 2nd floor in his resume.
Yeah.
My wife thought that was one of the funniest things she's ever seen. She said it looked like he was trying to stick his, but you know what, in his face. All right. Enough of that. The other thing I wanted to mention was we cannot finish our conversation about the NBA Finals without mentioning Derek Lively, who had a bit of a coming out party. In back-to-back games, in games 3 and games 4, he had double-doubles, even though he plays limited minutes because he comes off the bench. The last time a NBA rookie had back-to-back double-doubles in the NBA Finals was a guy named Irvin Magic Johnson. Been a while. Been a little bit. And I read a couple columns when I was reading about the finals where people were like, someone's going to have to explain to me why Jason Kidd continues to keep Derek Lively on the bench, why he's not a starter, why he's not playing even more minutes. Daniel Gafford is a very nice player. Derek Lively is a difference maker. The strides that he made as a rookie, the future is incredibly bright. I don't know that he's going to be signing any 5-year, $300 million contracts in the next couple of years, Derek Lively, but he could be getting a lot of money in the NBA. He is going to be a significant player for that Dallas team going forward for a long time. If you redrafted last year's draft right now, Derek Lively easily goes top 5, and I think is probably like number 2 or number 3. I get Wemby stays number 1. I understand
probably.
But Lively is right in there, and his future is super, super bright, and he played great in the NBA Finals.
I mean, like I said, even during the regular season, I mentioned that everyone in Dallas kind of looked at Derek Lively as that 3rd star, even as a rookie, alongside Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. And he, like you said, he broke out in these, not just in the finals, but in these playoffs where I remember he was playing with a heavy heart throughout most of these playoffs because he lost his mom about a month and a half ago. And this is it's great to see as a rookie him doing so well. It's great to see him break out. Like, we're on a global stage, right? Because the NBA is really a global stage at this point. To break out on that sort of level during these playoffs and during the finals is amazing. He is going to be a multi-year all-star in this league. He is going to be coveted by a lot of people whenever there's an opportunity for him to earn more money in the form of a new contract. He has set himself up for success. And the great thing is knowing what he did last year at Duke, knowing what he did this year for the Mavericks, there is no doubt he's going to get even better. He's going to use this as motivation to want to get back to this point, right? There's some guys who never see an NBA Finals, much less win one. He has seen one in his rookie season, and he is the type of guy that will be motivated to get back to this point so that it's a different outcome this time around.
We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, the absolute pinnacle, the highest honor you can get from the Duke University Athletic Department, the Hall of Fame. That story when we come back. Back from the break, Donald, there were new inductees, new folks announced to be admitted to the Duke Sports Hall of Fame. This is a big deal. This is not something where, like, anybody who's been a starter on the basketball team is going to get in here. This is a truly impressive honor. There have only been 170 something or something like that, 140, somewhere in that ballpark, members of the Duke Hall of Fame in history, and it includes all sports. I'm going to get started by just telling you a little bit about each one of the new inductees, because folks, some of these are names you're going to recognize. Some of them going to be names where you're going to be like, wait, I vaguely recall that person. Some of them may be brand new to some of you, but you need to know all these names because these are very, very impressive Duke athletes. Monique Curry, first woman in ACC basketball history to score 2,000 points, 800 rebounds, 400 assists, and 200 steals in her career. Monique Curry was an ACC tournament MVP, played in 2 Final Fours, a truly great Duke women's basketball player. She's in the Hall of Fame. Matt Danowski, 3-time All-American in lacrosse, 2-time winner of the Attacker of the Year award, made 3 Final Fours. Matt, arguably maybe the greatest player in Duke lacrosse history. He's in the Hall of Fame. And his father, John Danowski, who was hired when Matt was a rising senior at Duke, hired to be the head coach of the lacrosse team in the wake of the scandal, that one of the worst scandals that Duke University has ever endured. And all John Danowski did was guide the program to 12 Final Fours and 3 national titles over the breadth of the next 15, 18 years, however long it's been since then. A truly remarkable coaching career by John, who merely went to the school that his son was playing at.
And he's still there. He's still there coaching. Still there. So, yeah.
Exactly. I'm apologize if I get this name wrong. I'm going to do my best. Anna Grzebian Vanderline. I think I've got that or Vanderleend. I'm messing it up. I feel terrible. She's a women's golfer. She was the leading player for Duke on 3 consecutive national title teams. If you haven't paid attention to Duke athletics over the years, arguably the most successful athletic team at Duke University is the women's golf team. They've won an outrageous number of national titles. They're always in there. At one point, they won 3 in a row. And Anna was the leading player on those teams. She's going in the Hall of Fame. Diver, Abby Johnson McGrath, a 4-time All-American as a diver, won a national title in the 3-meter springboard. Welcome to the Hall of Fame, Abby. Quentin McCracken. I remember Quentin was in my day. Football and baseball star. You don't have two sports stars very often. He was a starting cornerback on the 1989 Duke football ACC champions, arguably one of the best football teams that Duke has had in like the past 50 years. He was a dynamite kickoff returner. I remember rooting for the guy when I was there. And he was also a hell of a baseball player. That was his real sport. He graduated as Duke's career leader in hits, runs scored, walks, triples, stolen bases, and on-base percentage. Went on to have a very successful pro career in Major League Baseball. Quentin McCracken is in the Hall of Fame. One of his teammates, Chris Port, who was an offensive lineman on that 1989 ACC championship team. Chris Port was a first-team All-American on the offensive line. He anchored that Duke offensive line for 3 of the great quarterbacks, Steve Sladen, Anthony Dilwig, and Dave Brown, all 3 of whom were put up outrageous, ridiculous passing numbers at Duke. And Chris Port was why, because he was able to keep them from being knocked over. Women's fencer Becca Ward. She had a match record. Donald, wait till you hear this. Her record in matches as a fencer was 272-7. Come on.
She was a beast. She was an absolute beast.
She was a beast.
Yeah.
4-time All-American, four-time All-American, won 3 individual national titles, and won a bronze medal at the 2008 Olympics in Beijing. And there's one more. JJ Redick. JJ Redick is being inducted into the Duke Sports Hall of Fame, a 3-time All-American, 3-time All-ACC, 3-time All-ACC tournament, 2-time ACC tournament MVP, 2-time ACC Player of the Year. He won or shared the National Player of the Year twice. And when he graduated, he was the NCAA's all-time leader in three-point field goals and the ACC's career leader in total points. And by the way, it looks like he's probably the next coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. So
It's possible.
Yeah. Congrats to all those folks for being admitted to the Duke Hall of Fame. There will be a Athletics Hall of Fame ceremony on Friday, October 25th. I unfortunately have a good friend's, the wedding of the daughter of one of my best friends is October 26th. Otherwise, I might be up in Durham for that. I think that's going to be a hell of a ceremony. Monique Curry, Quentin McCracken, JJ Redick. Come on, these are folks that I've been watching and loving to play sports for a long, long time.
I'm just gonna comment. I've watched or know almost every one of these guys, and so I want to comment on some of the people that I actually know personally. JJ Redick, I'm glad they made him sweat it out a little bit. I mean, his numbers in the rafters, but it took about 20 years for him to get into the Hall of Fame. So you can't get everything right when you graduate, JJ. But in all seriousness, congratulations to him. Becca Ward, I met her a few times here in DC, hung out with her on occasion. So very, very good to see her. She was, like I said, she was a beast in college and in the Olympics. Abby Johnson-McGrath, Jason, I know you mentioned all of her accolades in college. She also won a silver medal at the 2012 Olympics. She was absolutely amazing on the 3-meter springboard there. And Monique Curry, who I went to school with, she's class 2005. Really, really good friend. I am so happy for her. Jason, you mentioned her accolades. She's literally the one person, we talk about on the men's side. Oh, hey, who should be, have her numbers in the rafters who don't right now. Monique Curry absolutely should be one of those people.
I agree. Yeah.
She should have already had her number in the rafters. She was that good in college and literally will, between her and Elena Beard, that was a duo that was unstoppable for most of college in my career. But Monique Kerr also went on to a lengthy career in the WNBA, including right here with the Washington Mystics. So Mo, congratulations. Very, very, very happy for you. And I don't know why it took so long for them to honor you in this way, but you absolutely deserve it.
Again, the Athletics Hall of Fame ceremony will be Friday, October 25th. The Duke tells me that they'll have tickets for all this going on sale, I think in July. So if one of those names strikes you as someone where you're like, oh my God, I want to be there to celebrate with them, then, check it out. Cause I think it's probably going to be a very special ceremony.
Jason, before we wrap up, I just want to do a little bit of recruiting, at least the tease, on the recruiting trail. So everyone out there, over the next couple days, you might hear this name, Caden Lewis. I'm just saying, remember that name, Caden Lewis. It could be one you hear over the next couple days. And if we hear about it a little bit more in the news over the next couple days, we will talk about it here on this show. But just want to leave you with that nugget. Caden Lewis. Remember that name. This kid's going to be a beast.
I think Donald has sources, people. Donald has a little bit of inside info going on here. We're going to hear more about that on upcoming episodes of the DBR podcast. For Donald Wine, I am Jason Evans. This one, we're wrapping up now. Congrats to Jayson Tatum and the Boston Celtics for winning their first, maybe the first of many national NBA title. Actually, it's not their first. It's their 18th as the Celtics. But
18th.
You know what I'm saying. For Tatum, it's his first. Congrats to the Duke Hall of Fame members. And this is the Duke Band. Congrats to them for playing us out and taking us home.